everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Rambling Runoff. Surprise, everybody. I know you guys might be caught off guard by a little bit of this, but hey, look, it's 2 episodes in a week. Did anybody else expect that? I certainly didn't. Okay, I kind of did. Of course I knew. I'm like organizing all this stuff. But yeah, we are here once again to ramble on with all of you, my fellow sports ramblers. Thank you for joining me today in this special edition of Rambling Runoff, which in this journey of returning to constant recording for Rambling Runoff, I don't know if many or a few of you remember that we used to have this special thing called a Podium Show, in which we focus on one specific sport, and it could, we've kind of jumped around all over the place on the few that I've done of these special podium shows, in which we've done football, baseball. I know we've done soccer in the past. So yeah, I'm hoping for a good time. It is only me today, unfortunately, but it's all good in the hood. And if you haven't guessed, if you're already listening to this and you've seen on our socials, because this is probably already gone up somewhere, this is Rambling Runoff Podium Show Super Bowl 57 edition. Yes, we are focusing on the Super Bowl. Again, can you say the granddaddy of them all? I think is that the right phrase for this? I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, we're gonna be talking some pigskin today. It's gonna be a fun episode with me, your host, Robert Rios. If I haven't mentioned that, oopsie doopsie. I already forgot how to do these because it's been a hot minute. But yeah, I think I'm looking to have a good recording sesh with all of you, our listeners. And hey, at the end of the show, I'm gonna ask you guys one specific question, and I think you guys might know what it is. So buckle up, listen tight. I got a lot of information I'd like to tell you, and yeah, let's get right into it. But before that, actually, no, see, I am screwing up already, but it's okay. We'll keep this all in. The purpose, once again, the Podium Show is to focus on one thing, and like I said, it could jump around. So yeah, today it's just gonna be the Super Bowl, and unless you've been living under a rock, in this year's Super Bowl, it will be featuring the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles. So yeah, it should be a good game. We got heavy offenses. I would say heavy defense as well, but we'll kind of delve into that in a bit. So just to give some details on what I'll be talking about, just about the Super Bowl itself a little bit, how we got here. I'll be kind of going into details on what each team I think needs to do in regards to playing well and why they will win. So we'll kind of focus on each of those. And then for fun, I know last year we did a Podium Show. It was a review, or a recap I should say, and we just we focused on the game itself, and then a little fun. The Super Bowl is more than just the game. You got your barbecues, you got your chips, you got your hot dogs, you got your drinks, your beverage of choice, of course, alcoholic or non-alcoholic. And yeah, and of course there's the halftime show, which I think this year is presented by Apple. And then there's also commercials galore, which I will also kind of go to talk about towards the end of the episode. But let's get this show on the road, shall we? But yeah, let's go. Super Bowl LVII, or Super Bowl 57. You got the AFC champions Kansas City Chiefs versus the NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles, meaning once again Super Bowl 57, and will be played a day early in 2023, taking place on February 12th, which still on the second Sunday of February. The game will be played at State Farm Stadium in good old Glendale, Arizona. The stadium will host its 3rd Super Bowl and first since 2015. Super Bowl 57 will be broadcasted on Fox at 6:30 p.m., which I believe is West time. So, Eastern, excuse me. Yeah, I have it. The good thing I wrote it like 3 times. Yeah, so once again, Sunday, February 12th, this Sunday, 2023, time 6:30 p.m. Eastern, location State Farm Stadium, and you can watch it on Fox, on your local Fox station. Check your local listings. But if you are desperate to stream, I believe it should be on the Fox app. And if you're super duper desperate, make sure you catch it on Fubo TV. But low-key, I wouldn't recommend it. But yeah, so that's a little bit of information on there. Actually, no, I got some more. Here we go. The NFC champion Eagles, clashing with the AFC champs, the Chiefs. The Chiefs, no, excuse me, where to go? Yeah, the 2023 Super Bowl will mark just the 10th all-time meeting between the teams, in which the Kansas City Chiefs hold a record of 5-4, barely edging out the Eagles. This is the first Super Bowl location which the league did not use a bidding process to host the game. The NFL ultimately chose a single hosting site for each game, which the city selected submits of a proposal to host the game, which is voted upon the league meetings. More bonus information. Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts will be the first black quarterbacks to start against each other in Super Bowl history. They also are both NFL MVP finalists. And this one's been floating around already, so you've probably heard this little factoid. But Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce and Eagles center Jason Kelce will be the first pair of brothers to play against each other in a Super Bowl. John and Jim Harbaugh coached against each other in the Super Bowl in 2013, with John Harbaugh's Ravens winning 34-31. Which, fun fact, that is the Super Bowl that occurred at the time the Mercedes-Benz Super Bowl, or Mercedes-Benz Stadium in New Orleans, in which half of the stadium lights went out, in which the Niners were up big, and then somehow, somewhere, the Ravens stormed back and won the game. And sometimes, I'm going off tangent, but the Niners like to say that it was rigged, and I guess you could say that's the way the script was written. Haha. They got caught slipping, and the Ravens took advantage. But enough of the past. Let's try to move on to the future and look towards this great Super Bowl, which I think it should be a high-scoring game. When you got Jalen Hurts who could run and throw the ball, and then you got Patrick Mahomes who could run and throw the ball. The options of scoring and scoring plays it's unlimited. You can't disagree with that, because, in my opinion, because it's true. These guys throw for hella yardage, they run for hella yardage, and then they have the running back, and you have receivers, and you got everybody. It's more than one guy, so it's 11v11. So you're going to expect some magic to happen on the field this Sunday. But, I guess now it's time to move on into, the more focused part of the show, in which we review the teams and how they kind of got here and what makes them a great competitor for this year's Super Bowl in Glendale, Arizona. So I'm going to start off with the Philadelphia Eagles first. The Eagles, they're coming in 16-3. They cruised through the regular season, outscoring opponents by an average of 28.1 to 20.2. And then the Chiefs coming in. Well, actually, I'll say that one for later. Sorry, I double wrote something in here, but it's all good in the hood. But yeah, the Eagles, like I've said, both teams have a high octane offense, but the Eagles, I feel like, have a really good ground game as well, and their receivers are super duper smart with and without the ball. So I'm expecting them to come out huge and scoring a lot. For their defense, which I'm gonna get into, I've always thought of the Phillies defense always being these like rough, tough guys from the streets. Just, dude, they hit you hard. And as a football fan that's watched a lot of NFC football, the Eagles have always had like a solid defense where they look threatening every time they rush the ball, and you should be scared when they come at you. So getting into the nitty gritty, Philadelphia had 70 sacks this season, only 2 short of the NFL record set by the legendary 1985 Bears. Da Bears. Hassan Reddick has turned into Lawrence Taylor. He turned into Lawrence Taylor in the playoffs, and he averaged 3.5 sacks, 4 QB hits, and a forced fumble and a fumble recovery. Reddick had 16 sacks in the regular season, but he's hardly the Chiefs' only worry. Javon Hargrave and Brandon Ingram and Josh Sweat each had 11 sacks. So basically, each one of those guys averaged 10 sacks in the season. God damn. So it's kind of like, if they send one guy, he don't get through, you send the other guy, then you send the other guy. So it's like, oh man, like, the Chiefs are going to have a lot to handle just with the amount of rushing and power that the Eagles have. So it's going to be interesting on how, they avoid that. Also having written down here in regards to The Eagles, Kansas City allowed only 26 sacks this season, but a few teams dared to blitz because Mahomes is good at, he's good at exploiting vacant areas and he can find open spots on the field. But Philadelphia won't have to blitz to get pressure on Mahomes. I would say because it's already going to be 2 weeks at the point of this game, but he may or may not still have that nagging gimpy ankle or that limp ankle that he suffered a couple weeks ago. I mean, not to go too much into it yet, but he did produce a good amount with one leg, so we're gonna have to see what happens there. But I think my concept would be play the game as if he was 100%, because in that way you won't have to worry or rethink or re-strategize anything that's been working up to this point. That's what I think the Eagles should do in order to contain Patrick Mahomes and just be consistent. Okay, if you're consistent, you should find success, and that's what I think. That's just going to be the recipe for them in this game. Moving on now, I know I've mentioned Patrick Mahomes a lot in the Eagles section, but I mean that's how good he is. But there's another guy on the other side of the field, which I know, like I said, it's 11v11, but the quarterback for the Eagles is pretty good as well. And that man is Jalen Hurts, in which, to give you guys some backstory about him, Jalen Hurts at some point played for the University of Alabama, in which he was the star player. And then in one of their games in the final, he got hurt. And some other guy by the name of Tua Tagovailoa, who now plays for the Miami Dolphins, took over and kind of took his job. He took a job. It's all good, because then he transferred to Oklahoma and he played decently there as well. And look where he's at now. He is now a winning quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. So, not all bad for him, for the man straight from Alabama and Oklahoma. But now here in the NFL, he's going to have to prove that he is the top dog and kind of get his revenge in a sorts. Mr. Jalen Hurts passed for 387 yards and 2 TDs against the Chiefs in 2021 of October. This year he went 14-1 as a starter. The Eagles are 21-3 and Hurts his last 24 starts. So you're expecting him to have a great game here as well. Hopefully he does show out and he can prove that he is a better quarterback than Mahomes in regards to them squaring off in the StatCast. So it's going to be interesting on how well he favors against the Chiefs defense. In regards to the weapons that Jalen Hurts has around him, take A.J. Brown away from Hurts and defensive coordinators will, get the heebie-jeebies, because then after that they got to deal with Devontae Smith, and after that they got to deal with Miles Sanders and the rest of their receiving core. So it should be interesting to see how the Eagles line up offensively, because if one of these guys that I just mentioned isn't playing well, someone will, and it's kind of like Greek mythology, or I think that's what it is, with the Hydra. If you cut off one of its head, 2 more grow in its place. So it's kind of like one of those situations where you knock one down and another 2 or 3 show up, and it's like, oh damn, like I didn't expect that one. That one came out of nowhere. But yeah, I think in regards to the two teams, I think, in my opinion, in my not so professional opinion, the Eagles do have a better receiving core. So with that in mind, I think, Kansas City is going to have a hard time trying to cover these guys. Brown and Smith were both in the top 10 in receiving yards. Sanders rushed for 1,269 yards and scored 11 TDs. As good as he's been, Kenneth Gainwell's been so productive on the coaching staff. He's been so productive that the coaching staff had to play him and getting him more touches. So your receiving core is good. Your receiving core is good. Your running back core is good. So it's going to be fun. I mean, I think like I said, we're going to see a lot of offense in this game. But yeah, I mean, that's it. That's the thesis. That's the T. Because it's going to be a lot of throwing. I'll be a lot of running. So like I said, we have to see how KC handles the rushing and the catching portion of the game. But speaking of the rushing portion, with the running backs, there's also the linemen, in which the O-line has been solid, in my opinion. It's being led by All-Pro center Jason Kelce. With all due respect to Travis, Jason, his brother, Jason will be the most valuable Kelce on Sunday, most likely. He's probably going to be on the field more than him, but he's joined by Pro Bowler Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Isaac Suomola, and Landon Dickerson. Casey's defense isn't as good as a San Fran defense that the Eagles went up against, and Philadelphia destroyed the Niners in their NFC Championship game. The Eagles have rushed for 416 yards in 2 playoff games, the 4th highest total in the past 25 years. Oh my gosh. I mean, yeah, they're playing a lackluster San Francisco 49ers team who were just like a dead fish flopping around everywhere. But, dude, that's just an insane stat. 400 yards in 2 playoff games in the past 25 years. Gosh damn. And in like comparison to other playoff teams, they average 62% passing and 38% running. Philadelphia is averaging 37% passing and 63% running. Oh my gosh. It's run 44 times in its 2 postseason games, the highest playoff total in 33 years. Sorry, I don't mean to yell, everybody, but you cannot tell me that that's an insane stat to read off. Yeah, if Philadelphia relies on the running game, it's going to eat up the clock, which means that Kansas City is never going to get the ball. And there has been times in the past couple of years where teams just kill the clock. Like, I remember there was one year the Saints just decimated the Buffalo Bills, in which I think the Bills only got like 9 total minutes of the ball. I mean, I'm not sure if that's going to happen here because both teams like to have the ball, but it'd be really interesting if the Eagles just decimated them like that. Just the ground game, just ground and pound, and let the clock just tick, 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 tick. So at that point, you might not even get a high-scoring game. I mean, that'd be weird. It contradicts what I said earlier. But if that's the case, if that's what Philadelphia wants to do, and that's what gets them to win, then they should do it. Okay, it makes sense. It's what works. But yeah, that's what I think the keys will be for Philadelphia. Going into some more information in regards to the Eagles and their history to the Super Bowl and their winning streaks. The Eagles have won 4 NFL championships and 1 Super Bowl. Their previous titles came before the Super Bowl era, in which it was 1948, 1949, and 1960. The Eagles won their first Super Bowl in 2018, defeating the New England Patriots 41-33. And Super Bowl, I think it was 53. I always do this. I'll write something down for myself, and then I won't adjust it. At that time, they had quarterback Nick Foles playing in place of injured starter Carson Wentz, and he was also named the Super Bowl MVP. I do remember that Super Bowl being interesting because I think everyone thought that the Patriots were just going to run away with it, but it was like the opposite. Like, we saw the Philly special where Nick Foles caught a pass for a touchdown, which was cool to see, and then the Patriots, I think like on 4th down, tried doing it with Tom, in which I don't think the pass was bad, but Tom looked so goofy trying to catch a ball. Like, come on, bro. I know you're really good at throwing a ball and looking downfield and having a really good offensive line protect you, but you're telling me in a sport where you have lots of guys that have to use their hands really well, I know you could grab onto a ball, but I need you to catch the ball. This isn't a snap. But I digress. Sorry, I went on a slight tangent. But yeah, we saw the Phillies special, and the Phillies, not that Phillies, but the Philadelphia Eagles went on to win that game. Another fun fact, it was Super Bowl 56. Okay, I know I wrote it down somewhere. Super Bowl 56 saw the first one-score game since Super Bowl 52, when the Eagles won their first Lombardi with their score of 41-33 over the New England Patriots. I guess you could say Super Bowl 57 will feature two of the best overall teams from this season. So hopefully we get exciting plays like the Philly special from both sides of, both sides of the ball with both the teams. So it should be an interesting mix to see who comes out on top. Now, I believe, that's everything I have in regards to why the Philadelphia Eagles will win. But now, moving on, if you want some more, we got some more for you. We have the Kansas City Chiefs coming out of the AFC. The Chiefs were 16-3, and who also won 12 wins, who have 12 wins in the last 13 games, and have outscored their foes by an average of 29.2 to 21.7. So, with the Chiefs, they clinched the AFC West. Scratch the prior statement, but overall, they finished 14-3 is what I meant to say earlier. Sorry about that. And they also, if you haven't noticed, they tied the Eagles with the best record. So I don't know if you guys know this, but the Chiefs have this guy called Patrick Mahomes, and he's pretty good. In a game where he limped half of the time against the Bengals was Joe Burrow, he went 29 of 43 for 326 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not to mention that the last scramble helped lead to a very silly penalty and, helped getting them that game-winning kick. I guess you could say he did this 50 to 60% mobility. Now, imagine if having those 2 weeks off now, he'll have 85 to at least 90% mobility. So let's see how a healthier-looking Patrick Mahomes will do with this, I would say, fast offense, in my opinion. So, let's start getting into it. Patrick Mahomes completed a career-high 67.1 of his pass attempts for 5,250 yards and 41 touchdowns, both league best against 12 interceptions. He also had 358 rushing yards for 4 scores. He set an NFL record for most total yards in a season by a quarterback. Combined pass and rushing was 5,608. Should the Chiefs want a shot at a Super Bowl ring, they need the best version of Mahomes, which they can get. If the regular season is any indicator, the quarterback will certainly be the X factor for the team to conquer and get a Lombardi trophy. Well, we talked about the Eagles' weapons. Now, the Chiefs' weapons, it's a little bit more up in the air. So for Patrick Mahomes, he also has a few weapons himself, but it's going to be interesting to see how they are utilized in this game because a few of them are a little banged up. Looking down at what I have written here, we have where is he at? And I lost my play. Oh, here we go. Juju Smith-Schuster, Kadarius Toney, McCole Hardman. They all left the AFC Championship game with injury, essentially leaving Travis Kelce, who was questionable himself heading into the game, which I myself personally did not know that he had a back injury. And I was wondering, I'm like, damn, what happened to him? He disappeared from this game. But that seems to be what was the problem. We also have Marquez Valdez-Scantling and a bunch of scout team receivers as only options. 10 different players caught passes on Sunday night against the Bengals, by the way. So it's obvious that Mahomes can get the job done by flinging it to every Tom, Dick, and Harry out there. But just imagine if he had some actual first stringers back out on his radar and his scope target once again. All three are likely to be healed up by the time of this Super Bowl this Sunday. They should be up enough and playing in the game in Arizona. Smith-Schuster tweaked his knee in the third quarter and didn't return. Toney had a bum ankle part of the season and injured again while trying to make a cut in the first quarter of the game. Hardman awkwardly injured his pelvis while being tackled in the third quarter and might be the most concerning of the three. But all initial indications point to those three studs being back in those 2 weeks of the game. Sounds pretty shitty in my opinion when you have your three guys get hurt. But hopefully they are ready and to play in this game, because it's gonna be a tough night for Patrick Mahomes if he has no help on the wings, on the sidelines, anybody going straight down the middle, or going vertical, sideways. So it's gonna be interesting. I know I've been saying interesting a lot, but it is, because what it is, I keep saying it interesting because a lot of the times teams, for some reason, and they've done this in the past, like to differentiate from what led them and got them to the Super Bowl or where they wanted to be throughout the season. And we're going to try something drastically extreme and figure it out from there. It's like, no, just do what you did last time, and you'll get it from there. So hopefully the Bengals, gosh damn it, hopefully Kansas City gets those three guys back, and hopefully Kelsey, which I'm assuming he is going to be playing in this game, because everyone was hyping it up that Kelsey gets a big game for himself as well in the Super Bowl. Moving on to the defense very quickly. Back to the AFC Championship game. About every pundit that I saw expected Joe Burrow and his receiving corps to have a field day at Kansas City and find his targets roaming the KC defense backfield all willy-nilly. That was not the case. It did not happen. The rookie backfield brigade of Joshua Williams, Jalen Watson, Trent McDuffie, and Brian Cook all played solid and seemingly grew up right before our very eyes. And don't forget that the team's number one cornerback, L'Jarius Sneed, I think I said that right, left the game in the first quarter against the Bengals due to a head injury and never returned. You could say that Jamar Chase and T. Higgins were still incredibly able to, find high point passes throughout the game, even with double coverage situations. But neither of those guys went off on the Chiefs. So it's going to be fun to see how the Eagles, it's going to be fun to see how Kansas City deals with the Philadelphia receiver core, which I mentioned earlier on in this podcast. Also remember that Kansas City came into that game ranked 18th in the NFL in passing defense. They look a lot better, so hopefully they look a lot better than they did in that game. Those Bengals receivers are tough to handle, and it's not going to be no easy task against the Eagles receivers as well. The Chiefs finished second in the NFL with 55 sacks. Defensive tackle Chris Jones had 15.5 sacks, tied for fourth best this season. Thanks to his strong performances, he earned his fourth consecutive Pro Bowl selection. Earlier on in the season, especially, the defense was a major area of concern for the Chiefs, which I can concur and agree upon. Entering Week 14, they allowed an average of 101.4 QB rating with 68.1% completion rate. Additionally, they allowed 237.3 passing yards per game and had only 6 interceptions against 24 touchdowns, which, depending on who you ask, I don't think it's that bad. Kansas City almost doubled the number of picks from 6 to 11 and managed to get opponents' completions rate down to 65.9%. Even though they will likely face some offensive powerhouse players, I think the defense of the Chiefs should be able to contain whatever the Eagles throw at them. So there you go. I'm not trying to be equal. So yeah, that's why I'm saying positively for the Chiefs. In regards to the O-line of the Kansas City Chiefs, they should be ready. I know I mentioned this guy's name earlier, Mr. Reddick. He was a force of nature for the Eagles in their NFC Championship game. He personally knocked out Brock Purdy for the first drive, and getting 2 sacks and that first fumble and recovering one, helped out the team. And I think they were able to get 21 dropbacks on the Niners. But here's one thing that no one's going to be thinking about for Kansas City. They're going to most likely be different than the Niners. The Chiefs are not going to try to block Reddick one-on-one with a backup tight end. So that's one big difference in this game that they hopefully do. The Chiefs will be well aware, or should be well aware of Reddick where he lines up and how to handle him. Of course, the Fly Eagles Fly defense defense is certainly more than just one player. Don't come looking for Mr. Sue, but at least keeping Reddick from dominating will be a big first step in figuring out how Mahomes is going to find a way to pick apart this defense. Because, if their O-line cannot contain anybody on that defense, it's like I said earlier, it will be a struggle. It's going to be a long night for the Chiefs. So hopefully, they don't stray away too much from what has worked so far, but they should have some sort of plan intact that it helps them in the end to at least limit the defense of the Eagles, if that makes any sense. So I don't think they're able to eliminate that part of the game from the Eagles, but I'm saying they should, tone it down, and if they can maybe get sacked once, I think that's a win. If Mahomes gets sacked once, that's considered a win in my point of view, because this Eagles defense is going to be a lot to handle. So let's see how the Chiefs do it. But and more info in regards to the Chiefs. I don't know if anybody knows this, but the Chiefs head coach Andy Reid will now face one of his former teams. Well, I think his direct former team in the Super Bowl. Reid is the winningest head coach in Eagles history. Under Reid, the Eagles won 6 NFC titles and lost in the Super Bowl in 2004. Now in Kansas City, under Reid, the Chiefs are 117-45 and made the playoffs in all but one season. They also made it to the Super Bowl twice, winning in the 2020 season. And his achievements go beyond with Kansas City. Reid became the first coach to win 100-plus games with 2 different franchises, doing so with the Eagles, obviously. To make this even better for the Chiefs, Reid is not the only one from the Super Bowl winning team who is still with them. Key players such as Travis Kelce, who is cementing his name as one of the best tight ends of this century, and sack-leading Chris Jones are not slowing down any bit. Both were Pro Bowlers in their championship season and are once again this year. In regards to what the Chiefs have done historically, the Chiefs won 3 AFL championships in the 1960s, becoming the team with the most championships in the short-lived AFL. They also won their first Super Bowl when they defeated the Minnesota Vikings 23-7 in 1970. I wish I would have wrote down who the coach was at that time, but I remember his face because I used to always watch the NFL Network all the time, and he has that 1920s voice, come on guys, oh dude. He looked like a head coach. He looked like a guy that commanded stuff on the field. So, the Chiefs historically have been really good. So, let's see if they could keep it up now. In my opinion, the Chiefs have been, I know I said this last time, but they've been, the constant in the NFL. So, like I said prior, Reid has, he's led them to a lot of NFC championship games. And, they've been the better team. It's just that, it's a long season and it's hard to replicate, what you did year to year. And, the Chiefs should be applauded for, getting to this point once again, because they've been knocking on the door and they finally were able to step back into the limelight of the Super Bowl. So hopefully they can, create something and, get the dub and get another Super Bowl for Mahomes and I think, Kelce again. Yeah, obviously I just said that, but hopefully they can get another one for the franchise in the span of X amount of years. So cheers on for the Kansas City Chiefs, but hopefully, they do well. I believe that is everything I have in regards to the two franchises. I am hoping for a competitive match. I've been debating. I have it in 2 portions of our budget here on our schedule that I'm graciously reading off of. And should I tell you guys now who I'm thinking is going to win? I think I should. So, in this year's 2022-2023 NFL season and Super Bowl 57 in Glendale, Arizona at, what is the State Farm, what? at State Farm Stadium live on Fox, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. I believe the NFL league champs will be the Philadelphia Eagles. And the reason why I am picking the Philadelphia Eagles is due to the information I laid out currently in this recording. And just to put it in a simple way, I believe the Eagles have a better offense. They have a tougher defense. I think the Eagles' run game is just going to overwhelm the Chiefs' defense. The Eagles' run game is going to overwhelm the Chiefs' defense, and it's going to be too much for them to handle. And like I said before, they have lots of receivers, and on any day, each one of them can pop off. So it doesn't matter who is catching the ball, they will be the deciding factor on how the Chiefs will lose. I know Mahomes, he's been great. I know I just praised them for being consistent, but I think the Eagles, who were, they went on the field like basically halfway through the season, are going to be the dominant team in this contest. So once again, to clarify, I have the Philadelphia Eagles, the NFC champs, being Super Bowl 57 winners. And yeah, I think I'm seeing the Eagles get another one. So that was my pick for the Super Bowl. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you're listening to this on YouTube or Spotify, Anchor. I know there are comment sections. Let me know who you think is going to win the Super Bowl. I would like to know what you think about the quarterbacks, the offense, the defense. And yeah, tell me who you think is going to win and tell me why you think they're going to win. Just say, Chiefs, I think they're going to win because blah, blah, blah. Or Eagles, I think they're going to win because blah, blah, blah. So yeah, just let me know in the comments, wherever, the socials, and let's talk about it. Let's get a little bit of a debate going on here. So yeah, I'm not going to say a scoreline. I'm not very good at picking scorelines. I will say I think it's going to be a close game halfway through. And then at some point, the Eagles are just going to kind of shut down the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are going to run out of gas. So hopefully I'm not wrong, but it is what it is. I'll take it on the chin like a good sport. And yeah, you'll hear from us next week as well in regards to, what happens in the game. But that's what I think is going to happen. Moving on now in our programming. We're not done yet. Wow, there's more? Yes, there's more. There's more to just the Super Bowl than just football. Like I said earlier, you got hot dogs, hamburgers, alcoholic beverage, non-alcoholic beverage. The Super Bowl is one big party. And of course, they always have to have a show in which there's two things that people also like watching the Super Bowl for, besides just the football. We have a halftime show and abundance of commercials to go through, which some of them have kind of already started leaking through, but we'll get to that in a bit. So, for this year's halftime performance, we shall be seeing the great and wonderful Rihanna. We all hope she has a good showing. She has a long track list of songs. I remember listening to her from like around, I don't know what, like 2000. Well, let's see. I was in fourth grade in like 2007. All right, let's say I've been listening to Rihanna since like 2006 maybe. So however long she's been around, that's how long I've been listening to her basically as a child. Actually, I just dated myself. Yeah, I'm not that old, so. But yeah, I remember listening to Umbrella on like the old Disney Channel radio station. Fell in Love in a Hopeless Place is a good song. Take Care with Drake is also good. By the way, Take Care was sampled by Jill Scott Heron. It's a sample with Jill Scott Heron and the XX. So, Jamie XX, excuse me. That's why I like that song. So, yeah, that's one of my favorites I like to listen to from her. Give you more detail with Rihanna. Rihanna is one of the most successful single artists of this century. And by singles, we mean lots of hits. She's had 14 number one songs on the Billboard Hot 100, the fourth most of all time, trailing only the Beatles, Mariah Carey, and Mr. Elvis Presley. She's made a massive impact on the music industry already, especially in the way she was early on to embrace EDM. Her 2007 single Don't Stop the Music was one of the first major pop singles to have done so. Almost certainly, as there almost always during the halftime show. And as Rihanna is no stranger to collaborations, which, yeah, now that I think about it, I think she's done a lot of collabs and a lot of features. So hopefully in this year's Super Bowl, we do get a lot of big names coming out. I mean, last year we had, it wasn't just one headline. You had multiple with a few special guests. We had Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, then Kendrick Lamar, and then they brought out 50 Cent. I remember seeing in the background, I think Questlove was somewhere around there. So yeah, you had a good showing of people in that Super Bowl halftime show, which was very entertaining, by the way. So I'm hoping that we get a good cluster of different performers as well. But yeah, I think, I don't know if she has I don't know if she's gonna bring on anything new, or bring back some older faces. I know, like I mentioned Drake, but he's a little bit on the simpy side, so who knows if they're gonna do anything with him. I think Rihanna's done some stuff with Calvin Harris, so maybe we'll see something with them. I think, did she do a song with Eminem? I don't remember. I don't know why I'm thinking like on the fly with this, but yeah, it should be interesting to see who she brings out. Oh yeah, she did do a feature with Eminem. I think it was called Work. Yeah, there we go. I just found it right here. So let's see who shows up for this year's Super Bowl. The all caps contingency of people that I think she's done with. I believe she's done stuff with SZA and Party Next Door. So maybe they'll come out. I know SZA just released an album. It's pretty good. I've heard it. It's decent. But let's see if she brings out anybody. I don't know. I'm looking up. People keep saying Neo. I don't recall. I'm not seeing nothing at the moment that says anything about Neo and Rihanna. But hey, if he's available, bring him on, bro. Screw it. Bring on everybody. But yeah, I'm hoping Rihanna, with the number of good songs that she has in her repertoire, has a good showing. But besides the fact that she's performing, I just get to talk about really quick historically, Super Bowls, in my opinion, have been somewhat entertaining. I've seen some older recordings of Super Bowl performances, which I think were pretty good, which I'm just going to go over a few that I think are my favorites. So, in no particular order, one of the first Super Bowl halftime performances I can remember, there was The Who with the Super Bowl between the Saints and the Colts in Miami. That was pretty good. It was just funny because they had to put like 20 plus years of work into 15 minutes, maybe actually less than that, probably 12 minutes. But I just remember they had like the stage and there's one big LED ring around them. It was not an LED ring, but they just had just one big screen around them, which was pretty sick. I remember the Black Eyed Peas performance. I thought that one was pretty cool. I remember when they had Bruno Mars, which is interesting because he was like, I've never done a press conference for a concert before. So that was pretty cool. And they also brought out the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Who do we have? I'm trying to think. Who was the one that we had? I think A$AP Rocky. Dang it, I'm forgetting who it was. Was it that same year? I don't remember, but all I remember from that Super Bowl was that they had SpongeBob. So we had SpongeBob making an appearance in the Super Bowl one year. Let me see. Who was another one that I liked? I remember watching when the artist formerly known as Prince passed away. The NFL posted his halftime performance, and oh man, I love watching that one. When it was up, there's like a tad bit of it still on YouTube, but it's like an edited version. Oh, dude, it's pretty good because apparently, well, not apparently, but he was told it was gonna rain, and the producer or director went up to him and was like, "Hey, Prince, it's raining outside," and then Prince said, "All right, make it rain harder." And the director, producer was like, "All right, let's do the damn thing." So I just remember watching that video, and dude, Prince killed it. And he even, at some point, he didn't even know if anything was going to work. It was outdoor. And he's like, he was playing Purple Rain, and they give him his guitar, and he's like, "Can I play this guitar right here?" And dude, he just starts shredding, bro. It's really good. And then I also like that performance because he does a Foo Fighters song. So I love me some Foo Fighters, and hearing him do a rendition was oh man, it was the best of you. No, just kidding. But yeah, those were just some of my favorite halftime performances. I also did like that Snoop Dogg one with Dr. Dre. I mean, it was an LA Super Bowl. You had to have LA artists. I thought it was amazing. I thought it represented pretty well. So it all worked out. But yeah, along with who you think is going to win the Super Bowl, tell me what you think of the halftime show as well. And yeah, moving on here, the last thing that I'm going to be talking about, we got Super Bowl commercials. Yes, Super Bowl commercials is another thing that other people like to watch the Super Bowl for, because usually they're funny, interesting. This is where a lot of companies like to do product placement. Sometimes they're kind of weird, but more or less, people, it's a talking point for some people who, can't follow the actual pigskin of the game. But yeah, I've seen a fair share of Super Bowl commercials. I have a bunch listed right here, no particular order, but let me see. Doritos usually has good commercials. Their time machine one was like pretty funny. The people trying to be like, nope, my Doritos. And I don't know, those are pretty enjoyable. Bud Light usually has a lot of good commercials. Budweiser with, oh man, the Clydesdale. Oh, that's a classic. Classic. Because, dude, how many times do you ever see like 6 or 8 horses pulling a wagon anywhere? So I feel like those are pretty good. That's a pretty good watch. I'm trying to think here. I think one of the weirder commercials for me on this list I have, there was a commercial for like, I don't know, it was supposed to be for like, it was like showing like the city and I don't know what, and then at the end of it was like, buy our water. And I was like, are you guys serious? I was like, you're joking, there's no way. And then there was another one, I don't know if this actually, I wrote this one down because I was like trying to recollect, and I found it. It was like an insurance commercial or like cable commercial, like electrical commercial, and it was like, oh yeah, living life and to the fullest. It was like a kid kind of speaking. At the end of it, he was like, I wouldn't know any of it because I died. And it's like, what the hell, bro? What type of commercial is this? Like, you gotta be joking me, bro. Like, nah, you're playing. That's sus. Like, oh man, I don't know. That was just, it was one of those. But I'm trying to think what else. I've seen commercials where it's like a 2-for-1, where it's like, oh yeah, here's our commercial. I think it was like cashews, one of those cashew companies, or peanuts, and here's our commercial. It was like 30 seconds, and they're like, oh no, we gotta, and it just ends, and it's like, wait, is there like a second part or what? And then like 2 commercials pass by, and then another commercial of the same company of the peanuts comes back, and oh yeah, and then just like finish the commercial. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty creative. I remember when Pepsi was hosting the halftime show. It was when the Black Eyed Peas were performing. They did like an animation where they were like chilling under the tunnel of the stadium, and then like Fergie like pulls one of the other members like into the crowd, and they're like, come on, the show's about to start. And I thought that was a pretty creative way on how they how would you say got the show rolling. Also there was a commercial one year, I think it was last year or 2 years ago, when the NFL was celebrating the 100-year anniversary of the league. I think it was the league, yeah. They were celebrating a big anniversary, basically. And they had a kid. Dang it, I forgot his name. Why didn't I write this down? Gosh damn it. I always do this. They had him running with the ball, and he just kept running. And he was just passing by different players, different cities. And this was a commercial leading into the actual game, because basically this kid was going to run onto the field with the game ball, which I thought was so creative, because he runs around the field in the commercial and he just keeps running, runs into different like celebrities, different players, past and present. They even pay homage to like players that have passed away. And I was like, oh man, like dude, he even did like a cameo at the to be finished built stadium, SoFi Stadium in LA. And oh, dude, it was so good. And then finally, like, a bunch of kids start following him in the commercial, and they finally make it to the stadium, and they run through the tunnel, and now they're onto the field. It's like, oh, damn, like, we went from watching a commercial to live. Like, oh, shit, like, dude, that was fucking sick. Like, come on. Like whoever like made that commercial, oh man, I hope that guy got paid good, cause dude, it was pretty good. I like that commercial a lot. But yeah, I've already kind of seen some of the commercials I've been flowing around. There was a commercial with the actress that played, I'm forgetting her name now, but Cher, I think, from Clueless, the blonde chick. She's kind of like, I don't know, it's like a mobile buying clothes app, and it's just, you know, filing the beats of her being a clumsy, you know, crashing a car, having like this crazy closet where she just grabs whatever clothes. And yeah, that was basically it. There was another commercial, I think it had Miles Teller and I don't know if his wife or his girlfriend or whoever. They're I think it's a Bud Light commercial. They're just waiting. They get like that weird, like serious, like on hold, like dun, 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 dun. Like it's very ominous, and it's like and I don't know what she's on hold for, but they start dancing to the music, which is kind of funny because yeah, like you're just waiting forever and ever for someone to call you back or pick up the call. I thought that one was pretty cool. And then the last one I've been seeing, which I was like, who the hell was this lady? And I don't know, it was freaking me out a little bit. It was Melissa McCarthy, and she's like dressing up in, I don't even know what the hell, I don't know, insurance or what, but she was dressing up in different costumes and whatnot. I was like, who the hell are you? But looking it up, I'm like, oh, it's Melissa McCarthy. I would have never thought of that. But yeah, there were some of the commercials already floating around, and I already kind of named some of my favorite commercials, or notable commercials at least. So if you have any notable or favorite commercials or not favorite commercials, let me know in the comments somewhere in the socials. And yeah, let's get this conversation going. Maybe we can figure out what the best commercial is of all time. I just want to point out this commercial that I saw from like 1980 something. It was like an Apple commercial where they were trying to promote like one of the new Apple products. It was just some lady running with a hammer. It looked very serious. And there's a guy on like a TV screen, and she's running with the hammer and a sledgehammer, and she throws at the TV screen, and all the color like comes out of nowhere, and now it's like, oh, look, life evolves or some bullshit. And yeah, so yeah, that one was cool. I mean, like I said, a lot of these companies try to do a lot of branding. Well, hopefully we see a lot of good movie trailers as well. Those are other good commercials. I mean, sometimes you'd be kind of shocked, like another one of these movies, but yeah, let's just see what gets dishes out this year for the Super Bowl. Anyways, I believe that's everything I have for this Podium Show. Thank you for listening. I know it was kind of a little all over the place. Once again, it is a little bit hard to do this by myself, but it's all good in the hood because we got through it. If you're listening on Spotify, thank you. If you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you like the video. All the other platforms as well. Thank you for listening. If you want to hear more, and hopefully follow us on Twitter, because we should be live tweeting as well. Follow us on Twitter at Rambling Runoff. Instagram, we'll be posting stuff periodically. We might have some stuff on TikTok. Don't take my word for it, but yeah, I think that's everything we got. Let me know who you think is going to win the Super Bowl. Let me know what you think of the halftime show. Let me know about the commercials as well. Hey, let me know what you guys are eating, what you guys are doing. Because, yeah, like I said, it's one big party. So I'm hoping that we can enjoy it all through the internets and have a good time. Just, I guess, as a PSA, make sure you're safe out there and enjoy yourself safely. All right, everybody. But thank you again for listening to Rambling Runoff. I've been your host, Robert Rios. See you next time for another Podium Show. Hopefully soon. See ya. Bye.